Speaking of the big guns, we naturally transition to the Batman, right? We got Superman, Batman, two most iconic, two of the big three between Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. This was hard for me not to be most excited about because I think we're officially getting a Bat verse separate from the DCEU, the Reeves verse. We got the Batman, we got a sequel in production, we got the Penguin series coming out. But now we get more information about Rogues Gallery spinoffs. There's been rumors of an Arkham series. Now it seems like it's going to be a little bit more focused. We're exploring characters we haven't seen on the big screen, and I think ones that could be incredibly woven into the world that Matt Reeves has sculpted. So I think like characters that I would not think about, like basically roll my eyes at if they showed up in a Batman movie, getting their own spinoff that I actually love the idea of. Professor Pig, I can see that in this world. It sounds ridiculous, right? But also like the idea of having Riddler dressed up like he usually is in this world, I rolled my eyes at too. And then seeing what Matt Reeves did here in the grounded like nature of his film, I think it was perfect. I think he could do same thing with a messed up serial killer like Professor Pig. Maybe the guy wears a pig mask. Who knows? I don't care. I just think it could work so well in this goddamn movie, in this world. So I'm excited about that regard. In that regard, Scarecrow also definitely could fit in this world. A more grounded version definitely could take place. I think the question mark becomes Clayface. And Clayface is definitely a character people adore, right? A villain that people adore from the Batman animated series, which Matt Reeves has said and proclaimed that he's a huge fan of. But will the Clayface movie be grounded similar to how the Riddler is, how you presume Professor Pig would be? Or are they going to go a little more fantastical with this type of character? Are they going to make it a little more comic booky? It seems like that's going to come down to a major decision by Matt Reeves and how he wants to build this universe. If it all is going to be grounded in the way that, like even what we saw with the Joker, right, with Barry Keoghan at the end of the Batman, spoiler alert, it still feels very plausible in this world. Can they do the same with Clayface? I think that's going to be a very telling point when that series, if it comes to be and comes into fruition.
I agree. I think that a big storyline that I want to say is that you kind of hinted at is that this is going to be grounded. This is all going to be grounded, similar to the Batman. This is Matt Reeves. That's his vision. I'm not worried about that. Even with Clayface coming onto the scene, or Professor Pig, or Scarecrow, crazy names. They don't sound grounded at all. They sound very comic booky. But at the end of the day, they're all serial killers. Simple as that. And they all have their different motives, right? Professor Pig, he's a schizophrenic, does lobotomy. He takes out people's private parts. Like, he is a psychopath. You could
Perfect for this messed up world.
Yeah, and then you have Scarecrow. You've seen Batman Begins. Smart guy, very smart, similar to the Riddler. And then you have Clayface, who's, I'm not going to say not smart, but he's an actor, right? And then he becomes into a blob. So well, the key here is you can't do everything similar to Paul Dano. They all got to be different because they're all the same, just they have their own different quirks. There's different reasonings behind the serial killer. You really have to explore those. And that's why these being spin-off films or spin-off shows, that's really helpful to explore those, to differentiate yourself from another serial killer, as in Paul Dano, which was so grounded in itself. So I think it's a great opportunity here. It's a great opportunity. Again, we're not using the big guns. I would say Scarecrow's a bit like, not a big gun. None of these are big gun villains, but they're all like you can do something with. That's why I like this aspect. These spinoff, they picked the right ones to do it. So I really like that. And I think the potential castings are through the roof. I think I'm thinking way too high, but I think there's potential here as well for that.
We'll get to the castings in 1 second, but I think this, I have confidence that Matt Reeves has a clear vision. He knows what he's doing, but you could end up having, we recorded House of the Dragon earlier today. It almost reminds me of Game of Thrones, how that is a political thriller, not a lot of fantasticalness to it, although it's taking in like this middle-aged type of setting, you know? So like the Batman is so grounded, but are we building up to like a huge fight between Batman and this rogues gallery? There was rumors that like before like Matt Reeves came on, Ben Affleck was going to direct. He was going to have his own movie set in the DC Extended Universe. He wanted to have it set in Arkham Asylum. Are we looking at a potential buildup where the culmination of of Robert Pattinson's Batman is that he's taking on all of these rogues that have been built up through these series and who's faced during these movies for a final Arkham like battle. I could see that happening. Absolutely. But do we want it? Maybe. Like, are we going to be sacrificing some story, right, for the sake of that type of battle? That's certainly a flaw in the history of Game of Thrones. Like, let's make sure it doesn't happen here. Having these series separate, building up these characters, I think could do some absolute magic with that. Let's go to the castings. I'm going to throw out a name because I went to Professor Pig, and I think Professor Pig, he's a lesser known character. It makes you want to have like a lesser known actor, but still one that has chops. Professor Pig, I think you could give this to maybe even an older type of actor. It doesn't have to be young, exciting. Someone that probably is a little bit overweight. Don't want to be a hater on like someone's like physical appearance here, but there's a lot of connections to like Zodiac and this original Batman movie. I think John Carroll Lynch would be an excellent Professor Pig. I think he belongs in this type of world. Great supporting actor. Don't trust him taking on like the leading role in a Batman movie, but as like a villain in a series taking the lead, TV, I trust it. And I think that's my go-to for Professor Pig.
Yeah, I think for a show, right, it's hard to get the big wigs to come to a show, even though Colin Farrell's the one, he was in the movie, The Batman, so it's an easy transition. It's harder to get those big A-listers, even B-list, to star in these spin-off shows.
Especially Professor Pig.
Yeah, right. So that's better than what I'm going to say, because the one name I thought of was if Professor Pig was like the Batman 2 movie. And I this isn't my pick. I think yours is a great pick. But I just think that when I saw the picture of Professor Pig, because I just did a quick Google, right? He's a big guy, right? Like you said, a little on the plumpy side.
Oh my God, this is a good pick.
Professor Pig, what you read about him like on Fandom, he's like he kidnaps people. He's a perfectionist with his work and what he wants to do, right? Jesse Plemons would be an unbelievable like psychopath, but controlled.
You did it.
He would be against Robert Pattinson. Just imagine that for 1 second. That would be an all-time like conversations, acting, like tour de forces going at each other.
Yeah.
So
the like unstoppable force meets the immovable object. Like the two like middle of their career almost felt like Pattinson and Dano. Like two guys, right? Top of the younger actor echelon, right? Reaching almost the middle age there, but still young enough. Like Jesse Plemons, similar age to a Robert Pattinson, but what he take on Professor Pig, who knows?
And
he is doing the HBO show with Liz
I was
Wilson.
gonna say. So there's two things I was gonna say. He is doing shows. It's not like he's going away from shows. It's just that next year he's going to be starring in a movie next to Leo and De Niro for Scorsese. So I just feel like you got to get him now, like pen to paper now, before he just isn't ever going back to shows. So it's tough. But when I was thinking about all these roles, all right, I'm thinking we're dealing with a younger Batman. We're dealing with younger, like that Joker. He is very keen, young. Paul Dano, like he's more mature, but still pretty young, right? So I'm not thinking 20s. I'm thinking people in their 30s and 40s. All right. So like when I was thinking of these people, I actually had people that could play either Scarecrow or Clayface for the most part, or even if you did like a slimmer Professor Pig. So Professor Pig he's not fat, but maybe like he's just a normal psychopath. So I'm trying to think of people that are a little more mature than Paul Dano, can play a psycho, and can command the screen. First one I thought of, again, after Jesse Plemons, I was like, oh, wait, Jake Gyllenhaal is literally like doing all these random projects. He was in Okja, again, with the pig. I think that's where my mind went first. But imagine him as Scarecrow. I think that would be great, too. Moving on with that. Also, I was thinking, all right, messed up face, Professor Pig. Who's doing something with a messed up face right now? Is just in a show. Also played a cannibal and like doctor, similar to Professor Pig. Sebastian Stan. He's also similar to that.
I like both of those. I like it seems like Sebastian Stan's trying to go more into the auteur or like
Yes.
prestigious type of films. We like in projects. We saw what he did with Fresh earlier on, early horror movie from this year, alongside like the up and comer Daisy Edgar Jones. Love that pick. In terms of Scarecrow, I'm thinking about like a little bit odd look, slender look. Matt Smith. Matt Smith,
That's
I
a
think
good
would be
one.
good. Like, I know he's obviously hot in the streets right now with House of the Dragon, Damon Targaryen. Popular one, people like Stranger Things, Jamie Campbell Bower. I think that's like an obvious one, almost too much on the nose, where it's like too much of like just straight. It's an obvious fan casting. I think Matt Smith could like
I,
relish in this type of world. You see
that's
how dark he can get. I think he'd be an amazing Scarecrow.
that's a great shout. I think I have another one that I think's also like amazing, but that one would be better. I just don't think he'll go back to TV after Damon. I think he's gonna be
But
known for being
Scarecrow is a
Damon.
big enough name
So
where like you might see him in the next
yeah,
Batman sequel.
yeah, that too. I think like the names I've thrown out, I know they won't get that role. I just want those are like the first three names I thought of. Here's actually who I think like my actual pick for Scarecrow, Donald Gleason.
That's good. Yeah.
He has that look that you were just talking about.
Good range.
Like, and he has the range. Psycho. He could play the psycho, and good yelling. Also, could show he's really smart. Right? Ex Machina, Star Wars trilogy, latest one. I think he would be a really good Scarecrow. And
So
the other
willingness to do the blockbusters and major
right,
IP. Yeah.
and then the other Scarecrow idea I had. Also, if you did the Professor Pig, just straight up not fat guy, and this is just recency bias, is Evan Thomas Peters.
Evan Peters.
Evan Peters, sorry.
Yeah.
Dahmer.
He seems like he was born to be in the Reeves universe. It does not seem
Yeah.
like he should be in the MCU. Like he was Ralph Boner in WandaVision, like carrying over his quote unquote Quicksilver role from the X-Men from the Fox. It seems like he is born to be in like a Fincher type of dark set universe like Matt Reeves is trying to create.
And it might be too similar to Paul Dano, but I think they could spin it enough.
He could do Scarecrow too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they could spin it enough to do one of the two and do it really well. So those are like my two I thought for Scarecrow. And
yeah. No, those are great. I like those. Those should be on the odds, the James Bond odds. Like we should have that for the drive-in. We should start our own book.
odds book, sports book.
An odds book for fan casting, like we should do that. I got friends who start their own book and stuff. We should just do it for fan casting. So I think it's more fun. We'll put it as something to click on the website.
And then did you do any for Clayface?
No, it's just anyone can play Clayface.
I think though, they might want to dive deeper into his backstory. So it's got to be he's an actor, right? Star actor, and he's a good-looking guy. So I'm thinking
showman.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be that much of a showman. Just like a good-looking guy that has range and could show that he could play a little psychotic. First name I thought of.
I've one in my brain right now. I'm praying you say it, but it's too deep.
Dan Stevens.
Okay. I
guessed.
I haven't seen him go like too dark. I know he's in Legion, but like I don't know what depths he's gone to. I think of him as the Beast and Beauty and the Beast.
I think of the Guest.
I think he has. Oh, the Guest. Okay, good. That's more of the vibe for sure.
Great movie. Great watch Netflix.
Yeah, it's just I like Clayface. To me, like anyone can play him. I don't know where the vision's going to go because I don't know if they're going to like make him how practical he's going to be. I just don't know yet.
Yeah, the other one I have. This one's just like another like, oh, Clayface is probably gonna be practical effects. Oh, unrecognizable. Bill Skarsgård.
Oh, Bill Skarsgård. Yeah, Scarecrow. It seems like he's also like going more into the prestige. He recently signed on for Nosferatu.
Right.
Yeah. So he's going to be in that one with Robert
Eggers. Right. And I should just say, the other one I did think of, who's I think would be similar to Cillian Murphy if you want to go that type of Scarecrow, Nicholas Hoult. I did have down as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nicholas Hoult, like that, like literally he could play, not Professor Pig, but like he could play any of the other two guys. Like Clayface, like I'm literally, it's up in the air. I have no one, I put down 0 names for that. As long as I could see them in like this dark universe. And but you need someone that one's going to be like you're going to need some range for that one because like maybe you're going to be covered up and like you're going to be like looking like a different type of being, and you're going to be like a tortured being of sorts that also happens to be a serial killer. I think you need all just auteurs that are just like ready to roll, being in this universe. Like it has a bar it's set with the original like movie. There's expectations here, even for the guy playing Batman. You got to be an incredible actor. So, I mean, I'm just beyond excited for these spin-off movies and how they expand. Also, with this news of the Batman, before we move on to any other DC project, I think it gives a lot of hope for those who want to see Mr. Freeze in the Batman sequel. The fact that he's not mentioned here as a spin-off, and yet he's like one that people want to see with a grounded backstory, like that. I think it lends more to like we might see him in the movies as opposed to a spin-off.
Yeah, great point. Didn't think about that. Great point.